Back to Madden NFL 18 expansion franchise. I'm looking to finish this thing up. We are in season 2. We're doing a little early live stream here tonight, kind of before the kids actually go to sleep. My son here is hanging out with me, and we are going to work our way through finishing up this series before Madden 19 comes out. It is just a week and a half away or so, and I am very excited about that one. But I wanted to finish up this series, this Madden 18 expansion franchise. I really was hoping to get further along in this franchise, but unfortunately not able to do so, just because I started this so late in the cycle. I just didn't have time to continue it as I wanted to. So we're going to just go ahead and we're going to turn this into a little bit of a stream franchise, not a stream franchise, but a simulation franchise. We are in season 2. Quick look again here at where our, I can't even think right now. Sitting here, what our roster currently looks like. Still kind of have Williams there, our second-year quarterback, in there as our starter. We've got McKinnon, our starting running back. Receivers really could use some help, but again, we're just trying to have speed guys there. The whole idea, if you were just joining me, was to do this and have everybody be fast. I wanted to try to do a team of just fast guys and see what happened. We wanted to play fast. We wanted to have kind of an option spread attack, and so that is what we did. We actually made it to the playoffs in season 1 with a 9-7 record, made it to the divisional round, but unfortunately lost to the Patriots fairly handily. So that was obviously disappointing. But this is what our offense currently looks like, and then our defense is currently looking like this. We had the big signing, Landon Collins, over the off season, so I was very excited about that. We also got Eric Rowe as a good number 2 corner. We're pretty happy with how things stand, at least at left end, and then Guy kind of has to be the man to kind of play right in, because that's the only thing that makes sense. Defensive tackle, not very exciting. CJ Hilbin, our star, still don't really know how he didn't win Defensive Rookie of the Year, but he came up just short, came in second. So again, that was disappointing, but no matter what, he's good. So, but we're going to, like I said, we're going to turn this into, here tonight, we're just going to kind of simulate through season number 2. I've been struggling with trying to make this as realistic, as possible. Obviously, we can't do expansion franchise in Madden 18, and so I kind of followed tubaSimulator's directions, if you will, on Operation Sports. Shows you kind of how you best can set up an expansion franchise. So that is what we did. But ultimately, I don't think an expansion franchise should come out and go 9-7, win the AFC West, and make it to the playoffs. So I kind of was struggling with my sliders a little bit. Started out playing some games, actual full games, which is how I wanted this to go. But then as things got a little bit closer here in the last month or so, I decided to start doing some play the moments, and so we did that to finish out the season. Still ended up making the playoffs, but again, I was struggling with my sliders. We started out with Schnatt One's crazy setup that he's got. I was liking that at first, but then again, I wasn't feeling like it was very realistic. I feel like I was winning too many games, so I switched it up to Matt 10's sliders, which I really liked. But then obviously at that point, we were just kind of doing play the moments. And so I don't really know if that really gives you the full effect of what your sliders are doing. And so I kind of struggled with how realistic this really has been. And so my first thought actually tonight was to just open up and see if I can make a big trade, and to see if I can help my squad here get a little bit better real quick. And my thought was that maybe I was going to trade for a quarterback. And so actually before I started streaming, I took a quick look at some of the options, and the one that I actually think I'm going to try for here real quick, and then we'll kind of start simulating through, was the Texans. Some people are going to think this is not very nice and or kind of silly or doesn't make any sense, but if you look But again, this series has not really turned into very realistic. So so we're going to make an unrealistic trade right now. I think I'm actually going to shoot for Deshaun Watson, because why the heck not? They've already got Teddy Bridgewater, who's going to be their starter. So why not go ahead and go after Deshaun Watson here? So I'm going to see what it might take to do that. They're really looking for a left end or a middle linebacker. I've got Guy on my roster, but I don't really know if I can give up a defensive player. But let's take a quick look here. Middle linebacker, strong safety. That's kind of their top 3 players they're looking for. Let's look at our roster here real quick. Left end is not really the best of options. I got Easley at right end. I got Bailey here. I could maybe be okay with a pick if they wanted him, or we could go after Lawrence or try to trade Lawrence Guy here for Deshaun Watson, as they're looking for a left end right off the top there. Middle linebacker, we don't have very exciting. After C.J. Hillman, then it kind of drops off pretty drastically. Other option would be strong safety. Now that we've got Landon Collins, we could try Aaron Williams, or even kind of move to free safety. Not a whole lot of options there either. So I think just for unrealistic expectations, let's go ahead and try to trade Lawrence Guy. What's up, buddy?
That's a brown one.
It is, yeah.
The different one.
It is, yeah. So let's go ahead and, just for curiosity's sake, see if we can get this trade done right now. Let's see what happens. I'm just curious. And they're interested in him. Obviously, we're going for Deshaun Watson here. This is obviously one of the most unrealistic trades possible, but we're going to see if it's going to go through, because why the heck not? But no, it is not going to go through, even though they're interested in Guy. They're not willing to give up just Deshaun Watson for that. So for curiosity's sake, let's throw in a draft pick. Although my only half hesitation is my defensive line does not look very good. Maybe we should switch things up here and move back to the thought process of a strong safety here instead. We've also got a left tackle. Now that we've got Joe Thomas on there, we could try throwing in Eric Flowers. Well, now I'm just kind of curious here. Let's go Eric Flowers. Let's see what that does. They don't look like they're interested in Eric Flowers. Nope. I didn't think that was really going to work, but why the heck not? Let's move it up here, take a quick look at strong safety, and then maybe we'll try some draft picks real quick. Let's try Williams here. They're not really interested in him. Absolutely no interest. So let's go back to Lawrence Guy and throw in a draft pick and see if we can get this done. Again, I kind of want to make it, I don't want to make it totally unrealistic. So let's throw in, let's see what they do with the 3rd round pick here. Oops. Hit the wrong button. Ooh, that's close. Let's throw in, let's go with a 3rd. We've got a ton of picks here, so let's throw in a 7, see if we can get it done with the 7. Nope. Let's try a 6, see if that gets it done. I mean, we're so close at this point. I feel like we've got the extra 3rd. Might as well do it. Let's go 5th here since we got an extra 4th. Again, I don't know that really matters in this scenario, but no, that's not going to get it either. So maybe we'll have to throw in this extra 4th pick that we've got as well. And if that doesn't get it, then we got to think about a 2nd round pick. Ooh. Or both of our 3rds. Let's go 2nd and a 5th. They're just playing games with me now. Just playing games with me now. Let's see if we can do it 2nd and a 4th. And Mr. Guy gets it done. And we're going to bring in Deshaun Watson to the squad. Why the heck not? Now the only difficult part of that is we really have left our team not pretty darn thin at... let's take a quick look here. Pretty darn thin at defensive end. But I think we're just going to let it ride. We're just going to let it ride here and see what happens at this point. I wanted to get a good quarterback who kind of fits our style. Let's see what happens. We're going to go ahead and advance the week, and we're going to advance to mid-season. So we're going to go ahead and just simulate here right up to mid-season and see where this puts us. Again, I'm just kind of wanting to get through this. We're going to have, this is going to be it. This is going to be the series finale here for the Salt Lake City Flyers. We're going to be done with Madden 18 after this stream, which I can't imagine is going to be too long because at some point we got to get this guy to bed. We're switching it up? Okay. And then at that point, I might come back on and stream something different. But we're going to finish up this one, I think, right here, right now, trying to simulate through to the mid-season mark and see where things stand here for the Flyers. See if we've even given ourselves a chance to make the playoffs for the second year in a row. Again, if you're just joining me, we made the playoffs last season. I still don't really necessarily know how. As a in quotes, expansion franchise, I don't think you should go 9-7 in your first season and win the AFC West. I just don't. That's kind of how I feel about it. I don't know if that's fair, but as you can see, if you simulate through, you go 0-7. Instead of playing the games, that seems maybe a little bit more realistic. Let's take a quick look here at what our stats are looking like at the midpoint of the season. That is not good. Not good at all. So Deshaun Watson looks like he's struggling. Just 6 touchdowns and 13 interceptions. Geno Smith looks like he's got a little bit of playing time. 3 touchdowns and an interception. Rushing the ball, McKinnon just 165 yards. Receiving, kind of pretty split right across the board there. Coates, Fasano, Richardson, Anderson, Wright, kind of all 23 to 30 receptions, kind of all in that 200 to 300 receiving yardage range. 3 touchdowns for Wright and McKinnon. And then taking a quick look here at our defense. Leading in tackles there is Barron and Hillman, our middle linebackers. Take a quick look at sacks, 4.5 for Allen Bailey, leading the team, and a couple interceptions for Bennett Knight. So that is kind of where things stand. Let's go ahead and simulate through. Next week we must be in a bye week, I guess. Let's simulate just to the next week and see what I kind of set everything for the CPU to do it. So specifically, we actually won a game. So interesting. So that time we won. Let's take a quick look at what our schedule has been like so far this season. See if we're even close in any of these games. First game we come out, face the Steelers and get walloped 46-24, and then we come out and face the Chiefs and get walloped again 41-3, and then 27-10, 38-31, just struggling. Had a good game against the Packers, but unfortunately couldn't win that one. Patriots walloped us, so the games are not even close. That's somewhat interesting. I expected a little bit better than that, but it does not look like my expansion franchise here simulating through is very good at all. So we are currently 1-7, sitting at the bottom of the AFC West standings. Probably a little bit more realistic in all reality. That's probably what I expected a little bit more from last season. But I was playing the games, and obviously I had a little bit more effect than what I thought. But let's go ahead now and let's sim week by week now. I simmed the first, basically through the halfway point of the season, went 0-7, and then I did 1 week and I won. And look, I win another one. So if you just do one game at a time, that's interesting. Deshaun Watson's kind of down from his 80 overall to his 78 overall. Everybody's struggling. Everybody is just struggling. And then we came out and beat the Vikings 21-14. Just because I'm curious, let's take a quick look at The last 2 games that we've won, why is that? Why did we win these games? Player stat wise, let's just look at, why is there so many people there in passing? Let's just look at the Flyers. We just, actually, Deshaun Watson had a nice day, 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. I'm kind of curious now if he was injured at some point in the season. Either that or he's just getting things going now late. Jamarian Wilkerson, he was a guy that I kind of signed at the end. Quick speed back. Some people must be hurt for the Flyers, at least as it relates to our rushers. We should take a quick look at the injury report just for curiosity's sake. Jarius Wright, 9 receptions, 187 yards, and 2 touchdowns in that game. Wow. That was exciting. Then a quick sack by Easley. Just kind of taking a look here. Rushing yards. This was the Broncos game where we won. Again, a ton of passing yards. Rushing yards was pretty good as well. And then we came back and then beat the Vikings. So kind of 2 in a row wins here. Not as many passing yards. Kind of just 219, 107 rushing yards. Watson had not a bad day, no mistakes really, 219 yards and a touchdown, a couple touchdowns. Murray leading rusher, Wilkerson's didn't really run the ball very well, 15 attempts for 34 yards. Again, we need to take a quick look at who is injured. I'm thinking I've got some guys that are injured. They threw the ball well there. Thielen, Diggs, Robert Bush, looks like Coates, and Jarius Wright. He's continuing to have a monster season, it looks like. We should take a quick look at the stats again since we went through a couple more games. Let's. I just want to see who is injured because I'm thinking that my top 2 running backs at least are injured, which it looks like they are. And there's your problem right there. So McKinnon, our starting running back, out for 5 weeks. We've got our starting middle linebacker, C.J. Hillman, out for 3. And Robbie Anderson, fractured hip. He's out for 10. I mean, those are some big injuries for our team here. Those are all technically starters. So that's kind of disappointing to see. All right here, so that was, let's take a quick look, one more quick look here at stats, and then we're going to simulate through maybe just a couple more games. Player stats, Watson's kind of getting it going. Last time we looked at the stats, wasn't looking very good, but he's kind of turning it around here, it looks like. Getting back to closer to even for your touchdown interception ratio there. Rushing, Wilkerson is now leading, but not a lot of yards at all. I mean, we're quite a ways into the season here, and just 186 yards is our leading rusher. Wow. Receiving is, Jerry is right. 569 yards and 5 touchdowns, our leading wide receiver for sure. So let's go ahead and get out of that. Let's go. I'm still just going to kind of simulate one at a time just because maybe that's making a difference. Not that I want to keep winning. I still kind of want it to be unrealistic. Yeah, I'm funny. Yeah. All right, so Flyers lose that one. Make the record now 2-8. Let's see here. That was a loss to the Lions, but not a bad one, 27-20. Let's take a quick look at the stats just on the game. Still not running the ball well at all, just 40 yards rushing, 234 passing. Player stats here, Deshaun Watson, 234 yards and an interception. Rushing the ball, we know, not good. As they looks like the Lions here rushed the ball well. But unfortunately, Jamarian Wilkerson as our leading rusher, just 30 yards. Receiving the ball, Jarius Wright continuing to have a really good season, so that's kind of nice to see. Thank you guys again for coming out and watching. I really appreciate it. Just trying to finish up this series. I'm excited to kind of move on from it, get ready for Madden 19. I'm really excited for Madden 19, but I really wanted to see this series get a little bit further before we decided it was done. And so I'm going to do that right now. It's what we're working on here. We're going currently sitting in season number 2, 2 and 8. Not obviously good, but a little bit more realistic. We made a big trade just for fun because things have not been as realistic as I hoped. I decided to just make a big trade. We traded for Deshaun Watson just for the heck of it. And now we're actually going to come out and face Houston, so that's kind of fun. Looks like somebody else was injured. Knee cartilage tear by Justin Britt. That's another starter down. So that's 4 starters here that are out. So that's not good to see. Let's go ahead and just sim to the playoffs at this point. We're just going to sim ahead here. But all right here, let's see if we can see what ultimately the rest of the season looks like here. What our final standings look like. We ended up winning 4 games. So we went 4 and 12. We have to switch it up, bud, to a different game if this one's too hard for you. That's okay. Please don't be sad.
I probably should pick a different one of these.
That's a good idea. But it looks like we ultimately went 4 and 12, last in the AFC West. Probably a little bit more what I would consider on par with what is normal or more realistic. Deshaun Watson did come back in the second half of the season, have a very nice one. Almost 3,500 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 22 interceptions. Good choice. And then taking a look at rushing, which is, last I saw we were struggling. It looks like we finished out the season struggling. So just 333 yards was our top rusher. That is it. Receiving wise, Jarius Wright, he was having a monster season. He ended up with 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns. So he had a very nice season. Kind of Sammy Coates, Paul Richardson had respectable ones as well. So that's kind of good to see. Defensively, Mark Barron was our top tackler with 123. Probably would have been C.J. Hillman, but unfortunately it looked like he came out with a dislocated hip and missed a large portion of the season. Taking a quick look at our sack leader, it was Dominique Easley with 9. Shaquille Barrett, 6.5, was next. He had an interception as well. Interception-wise, 4 for Rowe, 4 for Bennett Knight, and 2 for Mark Barron. So that's nice to see. But unfortunately, the Flyers here lose most of their games, go 4 and 12 here in season number 2. Looks like maybe we need to re-sign some staff. Obviously, we signed all of our practice squad players. I don't know that we do need to sign anybody. We do not. So let's go ahead and advance the week. We'll take a look here and see who's going to win the Super Bowl.
I picked the egg one instead.
Okay, that's a good choice. Let's take a quick look at even who's in the playoffs. So let's take a look at the playoff schedule. So we are now in the divisional playoffs. Let's see who was in the wild card. So it was the Broncos versus the Bengals, Seahawks versus the Redskins. Seahawks won that one. Dolphins and Chiefs. Dolphins win that one. Buccaneers and Lions, and the Bucks win that one. So we move into the divisional round. It's going to be Dolphins versus the Bills. Seahawks at the Cardinals. That's nice to see. I'm a Cardinals fan. Bengals versus the Titans, and Buccaneers at the Falcons. So let's go ahead and simulate through here. Advance the week to the conference championships, and let's see who's going to be in the conference championship games. At this point, that's what I'm most excited to see here. Playoff schedule once again. And it's going to be the Titans at the Bills and the Falcons versus the Cardinals. Now I'm curious. Being a Cardinals fan, I'm curious. They actually came out and beat the Seahawks, so that's pretty huge. Let's take a quick look at the box score. in the player stats and see who their quarterback is, what's going on. So it looks like they have a second-year quarterback, Cooper Hoyer. Had 283 yards, a touchdown, and an interception there. Rushing the ball, David Johnson still there. 17 attempts for 95 yards and a couple of touchdowns. TJ Logan's getting involved with 11 for 33. Receiving, Cameron Brate is at tight end, 8 for 58. John Brown still with the Cardinals, 5 for 96. Looks like they drafted a guy, Ishmael Holsley. Nikita Whitlock. So that's kind of where the Cardinals stand. What's their defense look like these days? Patrick Peterson had 8 tackles. That's probably not good, but Tavon Wilson playing strong safety for him. Buchanan still there. Brock Matthews still there. All right, I was just kind of curious, but that's exciting. So they're playing in the NFC Championship game. Nice.
I'm good at this one.
So let's go ahead and advance the week and see who's going to be in the Super Bowl. I am obviously voting for the Cardinals. Let's see if they get there or not. Playoff schedule. Oops, we just want the league schedule is what we want. And we just want to see the Super Bowl. Cardinals at the Titans. Wow, very exciting for the Cardinals making it to the Super Bowl here. Now I'm curious, and I want to see obviously what happens there. But the Salt Lake City Flyers, we're just kind of Robbie Anderson. Hey, he's returning from injury. Great. That's amazing. Let's go ahead and advance the week. The big game, here it is. Before we jump too far ahead here, I did just kind of want to check out the standings and see where the Cardinals landed. So they are actually 10-5 on the season. And they actually tied a game there. Huh. What's up, bud?
I can't will we get over there again now.
Okay. Why don't you hold on for just a minute and I'll help you, okay?
She might fall now.
You missing some things?
I already did the 2 eggs.
Well, I don't think you can break them. Let's see who won the Super Bowl.
I actually broke them with 2.
You did?
Yeah. But how can I get home?
I think you can't break it.
I can't.
And there it is as the Tennessee Titans beat the Cardinals. Unfortunately, the Cardinals are unable to pull out that Super Bowl, so they lose yet another one. Oops. Sorry, bud, I hit the wrong button. Or hit the wrong thing there. So you just want to do that. Now wait. Why does it keep doing that? There you go.
Thanks, Daddy.
You're welcome. All right, so that is the end to that season. Let's go ahead, just because I'm curious, we're actually going to end this we're going to go ahead and sim to the draft. Again, I set everything to CPU. We're going to see if they sign anybody here for us in the free agent period. See if there's anybody that can help us try to get back on track. So first season again in this expansion franchise, we went 9-7. Second season doing full-on simulation, we go 4-12. So not a good way to go here. We had a little bit of a hiccup there trying to simulate through. I'm curious to see ultimately whether or not the CPU will sign anybody good. We'll have to see. View free agent recap. And let's see who we got. Looks like is this real? My signings versus league signings. So it looks like McPhee, Decided to get Murray, James here at tight end, Davis, Sharp at wide receiver, Smith at left tackle. I don't know that we needed another left tackle unless Joe Thomas left us. Nelson, a couple of corners, Sales, Blackburn, another wide receiver in George, and Moore. I'd consider that a pretty good haul considering. Not bad. Not bad at all. So let's go ahead now and simulate the draft and see who ultimately the Flyers get in the draft. This is obviously one of my most favorite parts actually to do myself.
Put the egg in there and then that broke it.
You gotta do like that.
I already did.
Oh, actually, I'm wrong. That's not gonna be right. Oh, actually, do this. Oops, no, I was wrong.
What can I do now?
Oh, let me help you. Don't be upset. I'll help you. Let's take a look here at the draft recap and see who the Flyers got. So they decided to draft Dion Meyer, quarterback. You're going to do this, and then you're going to drop it down here, and now you can move her.
Okay.
And so he is a 77 overall, 75 speed, 80 acceleration. That's all right. Left outside linebacker, got another corner, right outside linebacker, right end.
Yeah.
Not necessarily a bad draft, not very high in overalls, but that's okay. He's got superstar Dion Meyer. Well, there you go. Maybe that's not such a bad pick after all. Superstar abilities, 77 deep accuracy, 84 medium, 86 short. Throw on the run is 83, play action is 79. He really does kind of fit the mold of what we're trying to do here with the Flyers, so I'd say that's pretty good. Just because I'm curious here in the third round, 92 speed corner. Again, trying to have fast players. Computer's doing it well for me there, so that is good to see. So that finishes off the draft. We're going to go ahead and advance to the preseason. So we're going to say jump ahead here. We're going to simulate through this last season. Basically, we're going to sim to mid-season. We're going to sim to the playoffs. So we're going to make a big jump right here, but before we do that, let's take a look at our squad. We've got Deshaun Watson now. We've got the quarterback that they just drafted in Meyer. We've got Murray here as our starting running back. Didn't really get much better at wide receiver. If anything, got worse with Sharp and Shotwell and George. What's the matter, bud? Yeah, it's okay. Don't be upset. You just gonna have to move that one there and move it over. And then you gotta bring this one down. Put it right there. And then you gotta move that out, and then you can bring her down. And so, you're welcome. And so then offensive line looks about the same. We did lose Joe Thomas, but replaced him here with Smith. Tight ends kind of about the same, so not really a whole lot better there, really. We still got Landon Collins. Middle linebackers and everything kind of look the same. C.J. Hillman, as long as he doesn't get hurt, that should be just fine. They got another right outside linebacker in Ornstein. Barrett's still there. Knight is still here, so that's good to see. Whoops. Easley, McPhee. Defensive tackle still doesn't look very good. But there is Poole now, our number 2 corner. Not as good as Eric Rowe was. And now we've got Blackburn in there. Again, not as good as our previous players. So in some respects, we've dropped down a little bit. In other respects, we've stayed about the same. So let's see what happens here as we just go ahead and sim to the playoffs. Let's see if for some reason the Flyers can make the playoffs. We're going to make a big jump now. This is going to be the last jump. We're going to see if the Flyers can make the playoffs here in year number 3. If they do, then obviously we'll simulate through the last few. If not, then we are going to be done here with the Salt Lake City Flyers. My son here is still working on this game, trying to find the right place to put these little roly people.
These what? These eggs.
Yeah. Not sure how I can help you on this one, bud. You might have to do something different, okay? Can you pick a different one? Please don't be upset. Pick a different game.
But I can't do these ones. I'll do this one.
That's a good choice.
This is better.
All right. So as we are finishing up this here, we're looks like they're about on week 5. I would be curious, obviously, to see where our standings are right now. But like I said, we're just going to simulate all the way through to the playoffs and see if for some reason we can make it. I kind of seriously doubt it, like I said, based on the free agent haul and the draft. I feel like in some respects we got a little bit worse. In other respects, we stayed about the same. I don't know that we necessarily got any better. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another 4-12 season, if not worse. Especially at wide receiver there, we did not have any wide receivers really hardly there at all. As it relates to the running back and the linemen, they stayed about the same. Obviously, quarterback stayed the same with Deshaun Watson, but it doesn't look good. Let's just say it how it is. I don't think we're going to be able to do it. Our first season that we actually played through looks like it's going to be our best, as obviously we went 9-7, made it to the playoffs. Unfortunately, lost in the divisional round to the Patriots. So that was somewhat disappointing. But at the same time, I like to try to make these games somewhat realistic, and this one got somewhat out of hand fairly quickly. So that's just how it is. There's not a whole lot else to say about that. That's kind of why I want to finish it up. I'm excited for Madden 19, still trying to decide on my actual team. I'm not going to do another expansion franchise and or a relocation. I always like to start my new Maddens with a new team, a new franchise, and just kind of start from scratch. Still trying to make some decisions. Kind of leaning a little bit towards the Tennessee Titans just because of their new uniforms, but I think everybody's going to be doing that. I've also thought about doing the Washington Redskins, but those are kind of my probably top 2. Miami Dolphins, kind of another one there, and those are really the top 3. One of those 3 is the direction that I'm leaning. Let's take a quick look here and see what our finals. And there it is. So worse, actually, 0-16. So we got progressively worse here in this series. Instead of better, we got worse. So we went from winning the AFC West and making it to the playoffs to a 4-12 season, and then to an 0-16 season. So obviously, me running the team is better than the CPU running the team, but that is not good at all. Unfortunate to say the least. We're just going to take a quick look here at who's making the playoffs. Looks like it's going to be Patriots, Browns, Raiders, Dolphins, Jaguars. Hey, and there are the Texans. Texans got into the playoffs. Let's go ahead and take a look at the NFC real quick. Falcons, Eagles, Seahawks, Vikings, Redskins, and Packers. So after my team, the Cardinals, made it to the Super Bowl last season, didn't even make the playoffs here in this season. So let's go ahead and do the last little bit of simulating here to see who wins the Super Bowl here in season number 3 here in this expansion franchise. And then we are going to be done with this series, as instead of getting progressively better, we got progressively worse. So this is probably, in all reality, the worst series that I've done. This is actually the first one ever that I've done streaming and or have been had posted on YouTube. And so that part was exciting. Really, this was the first game that I even did any of that with. First time I streamed anything. First time and even this expansion franchise is the first time I streamed. First time I put anything on YouTube was all for this series really. So we are ending this series on a bitter note here, really, as this is probably again my worst ever series. As instead of getting better, we're getting worse. Although, we're simulating through a lot of it. So I'm going to blame it on the CPU for sure. But let's see who ultimately won the Super Bowl. And then we're going to be done with this thing here, as we'll go to the league schedule. Take a quick look at the Super Bowl, and it goes to the Atlanta Falcons here, 31-28. It looks like a very exciting game, actually, as it was kind of back and forth, it looks like, and the Falcons pull it out, 31-28. Quick look at the player stats. You still got Carr, you still got Ryan in their respective places. Carr, 4 touchdowns and an interception. Only 1 interception, so that's good. Rushing the ball, Devontae Freeman is still there for the Falcons. It doesn't look like Oakland ran the ball at all, but instead they passed it. But even still, Julio Jones, 108 yards. Roth, man, Oakland here didn't really do a whole lot. They spread the ball out fairly handily, but doesn't look like they had a ton of yardage, not much rushing. And even doesn't really look like much passing, although if you go back here to passing, Carr had 318 yards, so he just must have spread the ball around to everybody. But that looked like it would have been a good game. Looked like it would have been a very good and exciting game.
It's gonna be funny.
Nice.
He likes race.
Yeah, I like hearing you laugh, buddy. All right, so that is going to do it. Our Madden NFL 18 Salt Lake City Flyers expansion franchise is done. Kind of ending on a bittersweet note, obviously, as it is done, and I was really kind of unable to really put my footprint on this one, as I feel like I wanted to get through a few seasons, and the only way to do that here before Madden 19 comes out was to simulate a bunch of stuff, and the CPU is not good at signing players or doing any of that other stuff, so not really good at drafting. Obviously, we went from, again, a 9-7 season, made the playoffs, won the AFC West when I was kind of under control, to a 4-12 season with the CPU under control, and then an 0-16 season with the CPU under the control of the team. So there you go, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry for the little hiccup there in the middle, but we're going to go ahead and end this stream right now. I appreciate you watching, appreciate you hanging out and being a part of this series. And we will get started with Madden 19 as soon as it comes out. Very excited to do that. I can't wait to share that one with you. And we will see you here again in a little bit. Thank you very much.